Good morning. My name is Alex Baines, and I'm the head of Building Better for Gobain Interior Solutions, the home of British Gypsum and Easover. Perhaps more relevant for today is that I'm the chair of the British Standards Institute Retrofit Standards Task Group, responsible for PAS 2035 and other standards, and also co-chair of the Retrofit Coordinated Apprenticeship Standard that we expect will launch later this year, as well as being involved in many other retrofit-related government and industry working groups. It has been wonderful to hear the various benefits that have been outlined for occupants, businesses and career seekers, and these are indeed what we must strive for and achieve. But it's not always so easy to achieve. We need to remember that the challenge that we face as an industry is immense. In the UK, there are over 27 million dwellings, and the cost of retrofitting existing buildings is likely to be in the order of £1 trillion, and it must be done well. There is neither the time nor the money to get it wrong and do it all again, a phrase that a legend of the industry, Peter Rickaby, would repeat at every government and industry meeting over the past decade. Just 8 years ago, the Each Home Counts report was published, following thousands of failures and complaints to government. Trust in retrofit was incredibly low. Homes were getting damaged, and they were damaging people's health. This showed us that retrofit is easy, really easy to get wrong, and that we are unlikely to see a problem within a year or possibly even within 10 years of a project completion. This shone an enormous light on unintended consequences, a phrase that we all know. But rather than go into that too deeply, there is a recent white paper that covers our history and the resulting standards, their necessity as well as some of their benefits and future plans. If you haven't read them both, I strongly encourage you to do so, as we can't afford to forget the lessons gained then. Our biggest challenge is to do it in a way which mitigates risks to people's health and the buildings, things like fire and moisture and mould. The risks apply as much to a single homeowner as they do to large-scale housing retrofits by landlords under asset management and investment programmes. Just consider the BRE's recent report. The cost of poor housing in England and the estimated £2.5 billion spent by the NHS each year to treat people affected by poor housing. Or the Competition and Markets Authority review of consumer protection and insurance-backed guarantees. The risks of these unintended consequences not being addressed appropriately are evident all around us, all the time still. In the last quarter of last year, the latest versions of PAS 2035 and PAS 2030 were released, and thankfully for us all, these are now freely accessible and available to everyone. They continue to push our industry forward in the management and mitigation of risk in retrofit. If we are to achieve the benefits that we can all see, then what we need to do today is to make sure that we deliver projects without repeating those mistakes of the past, of delivering projects that mean that we do not go back to someone's home to repair or remediate a previous failure that was avoidable. We need to mitigate against those unintended consequences. But apart from avoiding the mistakes of the past and following the standards, what else can we do? Well, to my mind, there are two things that we can really do: manage our own risk and plan for the future. I'll take those two topics in turn. So, what do I mean by managing our own risks? Well, I like to take a term known to all of us: unintended consequences. And using it in scenarios that are not related to a retrofit project can be quite illuminating. The unintended consequence of the decisions that you make, how do you mitigate those? How might you explain to someone that you choose not to manage risk as identified by your wider industry? Are you saying that you can manage risk better as you know it all, and more than your competitor, maybe? How can someone check that? Will they trust you? As we look to scale up, maybe you can do this, but can everyone around you? How people choose between you and your competitors? How do you make a choice about your partners? What about skills, training? Are you restricting where you or others can work, or developing a blueprint that you could roll out throughout the UK? Imagine if you're personally responsible. You were the person who agreed not to require a standard that managed risks and had been persuaded of an alternative route because it cost less or meant you had less admin or discounted the concept of risk. How might you feel years later when you learned someone had ended up in hospital? Would you look back and still believe that you had done everything you could at the time to mitigate those known risks? What if it resulted in a similar outcome to the case of Ewa Bishak that has highlighted the importance to a wider audience? What if it was your home and, more importantly, your family? How might the new building safety regulator view all of this? The questions can be never-ending. What message do these decisions send to our clients or our partners or the occupants? Might they see something that devalues our intentions of saving them money or delivering them projects quickly? So what is a way forward? How do we scale up everything to achieve those all-important benefits and still manage these risks? Well, the reality is there is no easy way. To me, the answer to all of this is to develop trust in the industry, in our partners, in our solutions. The real reason that we're all here together today. We all care about the same thing and want to do the right thing. As our partnerships develop and we demonstrate joint solutions and successes across the industry, the unintended consequences are that, in turn, gives trust to those making the policy decisions, those setting mortgages or insurance premiums, trust to those making financial decisions or pricing contracts, the confidence to invest in our workforces, and most crucially, maybe trust to occupants and homeowners that we will do the right thing for them. And who knows, if more people trust it, then even more might want it. The real decisions that will affect immediate change are which partners we choose to move forward with. I feel very privileged to have joined Gobain just before lockdown, although I knew very little of the manufacturing side of our industry. But with the global purpose of making the world a better home, I've seen many things that give me huge hope for the wider industry and what lies ahead. The full resources of the company, including things like the technical and R&D expertise, the independently accredited fire test labs, the nationwide training facilities. These are all available to explore and deliver solutions with our partners. The company already has a wealth of knowledge and experience, but unlike many manufacturers, we have a dedicated retrofit and refurbishment sector team, and they are only too aware of unintended consequences, and so have and will continue to invest in things like retrofit coordinator training, which aren't a direct necessity for a manufacturer, but are key to understanding all parts of the retrofit supply chain and how to best help and work with our partners for their benefit as well. They have focused on developing partnerships to explore solutions to find what is right for the occupants, for their homes, and for the planet. I've discovered plenty of things to do to be proud of at Gobain, but it's this explicit focus on the occupant, bringing together people and getting it right that trumps the others. None of us here today can deliver a full project on our own. We need a team. This team needs to work closely together to achieve all those benefits. And to avoid the pitfalls at every stage of a project, we need to continue to learn from each other and evolve as partners. The crucial ingredient for any project is the partners we choose to work with on project after project, and the trust that engenders in achieving the ultimate project outcomes. I mentioned PAS 2035 earlier. It can't be perfect for everyone and will continue to need plenty of amendments to be truly optimised for all. But it needs all of us to partner together, to feed in, to help us all, so that everyone in the UK can benefit. And for these reasons, it is now undergoing annual change. And it is those changes and others that I've seen in the industry since my involvement in each home counts that has been fascinating to watch. But it's the little changes that have really given me hope for the future of retrofit. The signs are beginning to appear all around us. New research projects are being launched. The world of media is focusing on the issues, and we are all aware of it so much more since COVID. And that is mental and physical health and well-being. We need to reframe our outcomes to truly prioritise the holistic benefits of the clients and the occupants. It's no longer just a question of energy efficiency, fuel poverty, or zero carbon. These are all wrapped up within mental and physical health and well-being. And in order to truly deliver that, we need to develop partnerships now with companies we trust to be on the same path as ourselves. These partnerships are how we all make a difference that learns from the errors of the past and delivers retrofit fit for the future.